Howdy, people. I know y'all haven't seen me in has it been 2 years so far? I know it's been a while. The reason I'm coming out of hiding and doing a video is because Braxton Hunter over at Trinity Radio recently posted a 1.5 minute video asking 7 questions that he wanted other Christian YouTubers to respond to. So I wrote down the questions and I'm going to respond to them. Anyway, hey Braxton, if you're seeing this, thanks for doing this. It's a good way, I guess, to get some of us to come out of hiding. Okay, so the first question, what do I mean when I say that I'm a Christian? The primary thing that I mean is that I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. But of course, there's a lot of theological content about what it means to be a follower of Jesus Christ. It means that I subscribe to his worldview, the best that I understand it, that I'm a follower of his, a committed follower of his, a disciple of his, that he is my master, my king, that I look forward to his return, that I want to live a life committed to him, to live the way he wants me to live, to be the kind of person he wants me to be, to further his kingdom, and to look forward to it. I could go on and on about that, but anyway. What is the purpose of your channel? There are basically 2 purposes of my channel. The primary purpose is just to give me some practice speaking in front of a camera and speaking in general. I'm not very good at verbal communication in general. So I thought that doing a channel where I was kind of forced to speak would help me speak better, to have, better communication with people in person, because I really struggle with it. So I came up with Christian apologetics because it's the one thing that I can talk about for a long time, have a lot of stuff to say. And so what I decided to do is just make a whole case for Christianity. So if you watch all the videos on my channel, it's just one long case for Christianity, for the truth of Christianity. Once I got to the end of it, I kind of quit because I was finished. Since then, so I guess the secondary purpose was to get all that out, to make my case for Christianity, and maybe somebody will get something out of it, I don't know. But since I finished it, I have thought from time to time about doing something else with this channel, and I've had a few ideas. One idea is to make it kind of like my written blog and just post random videos about subjects that I'm interested in or things that I'm thinking about or reading about or whatever. And another idea that I came up with is maybe do the same thing that I did last time, start from the beginning and make a whole case for Christianity, only this time not talk so much about myself and my speaking difficulties or whatever, and just focus on the material. And 2, when I originally did it, I did it all off the top of my head for the most part. There's a few videos where, I took a few notes, but for the most part, I did it off the top of my head. And I was thinking, if I really want to improve the quality, if that was my goal, then I would actually have outlines. So I would do a better job of it. The focus wouldn't be so much on my speaking ability as it would be on having good content. So I haven't really decided whether I'm going to do anything with it or not. Okay, so 3, to what extent do you include consideration about content in your spiritual life, seeking prayer guidance? Now, I read that question 2 or 3 times, and I'm still not sure I understand what you're asking. If you're asking whether I've got videos that address subjects like prayer, spiritual guidance, that sort of thing, no, I don't have any videos like that. But if you're asking about whether I pray about what content I should have, yes, I do. And I also pray about my effectiveness in communicating. Let's see, number 4. If someone asks you why they should be a Christian, what do you say? Usually the first thing I say is, well, because it's true. The only reason anybody should be a Christian or anything else is because they think it's true. I used to say that a lot, and some people think it's glib for me to say that. They're kind of put off by the fact that I say it, so I don't say it quite as much as I used to. But there is a reason I put it like that. The reason I put it like that is because I've talked to a lot of people who subscribe to one religion or another, or they subscribe to one denomination or another. And for example, I had a friend that's Catholic, and she was telling me that, the reason she's Catholic is because she's attracted to all the trappings, basically, the ritual, the pageantry, the the art, basically all the externals and stuff like that. And none of it had anything to do with whether Christianity was true or who Jesus was or anything like that. I'm not saying all Catholics are like that. I know a lot of people convert to Catholicism because they're convinced that it's true. But that's the reason I put it like that, because it seems like a lot of people subscribe to Christianity because they like the lifestyle or because there's something attractive. They like the community. Maybe they like the potlucks. And I don't want to put down the potlucks because I've had some pretty good ones myself. But that's not the reason I'm a Christian. But another reason I've kind of gotten away from saying that so much is because there's more to it than that. I mean, it's not just enough for Christianity to be true for me to want to be a Christian. It also has to be, I have to be attracted to Jesus, and there has to be a motive for doing it beyond it just being true. There has to be, well, I had this all worked out in my head before I started this video. Now I can't remember what I rehearsed. But I'm going to move on from that. Maybe I'll come back to that. Let's see. What Christian beliefs and or commitments do you think are essential for salvation? This is kind of a hard question to answer because, like I'm sure a lot of people have said, I don't imagine that when it comes to Jesus separating the sheep from the goats, that he's going to ask them, give them a theological test. Did you make sure that you're a Trinitarian and not a modalist? But on the other hand, I think that to be a Christian, you have to be a committed follower of Jesus Christ. But if I invited somebody to become a follower of Jesus, it seems natural that they would ask me, well, who's Jesus? And how could I answer that question without making a few theological statements? How can you answer the question of who Jesus is and what he has to do with me without making theological statements? I actually got that from Paul Scott Pruitt. He pointed that out one time. I thought it was very accurate, so I've adopted it. So let me give you about 7 things that I think make up the core of Christianity. And I think anybody that legitimately calls themselves a Christian has to subscribe to these 7 things, because these 7 things are essential to what Christianity is all about. And I think that these things, encompass Eastern Orthodox, Protestant, Catholics, anybody that's Christian. And although there are some people who call themselves Christians and who will disagree with at least one of these 7 things, I don't think those people are Christians. And I know that's politically incorrect for me to say, but I stand by it. First of all, you have to believe that there's one God. You have to believe that that's one. You have to believe that there's one God, specifically Yahweh. You have to believe that there's such a thing as right and wrong, because if there's not such a thing as right and wrong, then of course there can't be a whole salvation thing. Salvation has no meaning if there's no such thing as right and wrong. You have to believe that people violate these rules of right and wrong. We sin. We all sin. That Jesus of Nazareth is the Messiah. And I could go on and on about what that means. I've got videos on that. That Jesus died to atone for our failure to keep the moral law. In other words, he died for our sins. And 6, that he was raised from the dead. And there's always a 7th one that I'm missing. Can't remember, but I got a video about it. But I think you have to believe those 7 things. Now, there are some people like John Dominic Crossan who don't believe Jesus actually rose from the dead. And he says I heard him say one time that anybody who says that he's not a Christian is a fool. Well, call me a fool then, because I think anybody that denies the resurrection of Jesus is not really subscribing to the gospel. That's part of the heart of the gospel. That's why I put it like that. Paul recited it in 1 Corinthians 15. He reminded the Corinthians of the gospel that he had already preached to them. He said that Christ died for sins according to the scripture, that he was buried, that he was raised on the 3rd day according to the scriptures, that he appeared to Peter, then to the 12 after that, etc., etc. So, anywho, let's go on. Number 6. What do you wish other Christian YouTubers would do differently? Now, I hate to be a critic. And that's one of a bad habit of mine is like, I'm a little bit of a nitpicker. And so whenever I watch other videos, I'm like, oh, I wish they'd done that a little differently. But I think most of the Christian YouTubers that I've watched, Braxton Hunter being one of them, I think they're doing a pretty good job. Every now and then, I guess let me just speak in generalities here, and I'm not picking anybody out, but I wish there was less snark out there. I wish that people would think of atheists or Muslims or non-Christians in general, not as their opponents. And I think, a lot of people who are interested in apologetics have a bad habit of thinking of people that they're dialoguing with as their opponents. I wish you would think of them more as people who need the gospel. I mean, look at them with compassion. I was listening to a talk that Amy Hall gave one time. Amy Hall works for Stand to Reason, or she used to. I think she still does. But she was giving this talk one time, and she was talking about how whenever, you run into one of those people who are just really kind of nasty, they berate you or whatever for being a Christian. She said you shouldn't be defensive in those situations. You should really have compassion towards these people, and you should consider the fact that if not for your own regeneration, not for your own conversion, you would probably be in exactly the same situation that they're in, behaving exactly the same way. And so the attitude we should have towards these people is an attitude of compassion. And I knew Amy personally, and she really believed that. She took that to heart. She had that attitude towards non-Christians, and I really respected that. And so that's the attitude that I try to have, and I wish that other Christian YouTubers would have that attitude as well. Let's see. What is the best thing that has happened as a result of your experience as a Christian YouTuber? Well, I don't have a big following. I've got 55 followers. My videos don't have a whole lot of views. And even with the views that I have, most people don't watch very much of them. They'll watch maybe a minute of them or something like that and then quit the video. So I don't think my channel has had much of an impact at all on other people. Excuse me. But as far as an impact on me, it did make me a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera. When I first started doing it, I remember being really nervous about it. I was actually nervous doing this video. But as I got going, I kind of got more comfortable with it. I don't think my ability to speak improved or anything, but I got more comfortable doing it. And by the end of it, I was kind of enjoying it. And so I got that out of it. A second thing out of it is just when I got through the whole thing, I had a kind of a feeling of accomplishment. I added up the hours on all the videos, and it took me, I think, 14 and a half hours to give a complete case for Christianity, which was kind of interesting to me because like in conversations that I've had, people have sometimes, people will criticize Christianity for just being based on blind belief or something. And I always want to say, well, wait a minute, that's not necessarily the case. There are good reasons to think Christianity is true. And they'll say, oh yeah, well, what are they? And so they'll want me to give a case for Christianity. Well, obviously they're not going to listen to me monologue. And so I've always wondered, how long would it take? If they did listen to me monologue, how long would it take? Well, now I know, 14 and a half hours. So I think the next time I have a conversation like that and somebody wants me to make an argument for Christianity, I'm going to say, you got 14 and a half hours? Can you give me 14 and a half hours without interrupting me? Maybe I'll interrupt myself every now and then and ask, well, do you have any questions so far before I go on? But anyway, that's probably never going to happen. But anyway, that's it. So thanks again, Braxton, for doing this whole thing. And for the rest of you, if you would like me to continue this channel and put some more content, I'm open to suggestions. Leave them in the comments, I guess. So there you have it. That's all I have to say. Bye.